All right. Let's start then. Hello, internet friends. Welcome, welcome, welcome. I'm here with Don Dwala or John from Dual Finance. Hopefully, he's gonna give us some alpha on what they're building and all the beautiful DeFi stuff that you're actually bringing to Solana. So tell us a little bit. Give us the elevator pitch of Dual Finance, and then we'll get on with the introductions.
Cool. Thanks for having me. Appreciate it. All the Dean's List work so far. It's been awesome to see. So yeah, Dual Finance. We're working on providing projects, DAOs, communities, the tools to create better incentive structures. And that's going to be centered around options, as well as supporting the liquidity of these rewards through our native market making system. So actually providing markets and composing on OpenBook to start, as well as other central limit order book exchanges. So you could think of it sort of generally speaking as a decentralized market maker, but there's a lot of other things to unpack. So yeah,
awesome. Centralized market maker. Sounds good. Before we dive into it, tell us a little bit about yourself, about the team, and your prior experience, and in general, how did you end up building on Solana?
Definitely. Yeah, so I met my co-founder at MIT. We were both undergrads there. I actually met him playing lacrosse. Went on, did some master's work in finance, and then went on to a career in trading, trading options and options market making specifically. For the last 4 years, I was head of OTC and DeFi trading at GSR, one of the largest institutional market makers in the space, and left that about 6 months to focus on Dual full time. My co-founder's background, he's on the more technical side, ex Google, ex Facebook, lead developer at YouTube for the last 7 years. That's our backgrounds. And then in terms of building on Solana, sort of was around early and just kind of seeing the trading experience personally as well as with GSR. Ultra fast block times, low fees, and rent sort of enables a new set of products to be built, and kind of the way I like to phrase it is sort of end game DeFi solutions. Specifically in our use case, like options requires a lot of different contracts to be spun up, and that can be expensive on other chains. So Solana fit well for a lot of those purposes.
Yeah, lots of transactions. You can sell your positions. You can have more frequent Oracle updates. Solana solves quite a lot of issues. At the same time, Solana has been kind of feeling, together with all the other chains, a little bit of a liquidity drain. And especially for Solana, it feels a little bit that DeFi and all this industry is kind of taking a secondary place after NFTs. What do you think is happening there, and what is missing in order to bring back DeFi as the primary market in Solana?
Yeah, it's hard to argue it isn't playing second fiddle to NFTs. We're working specifically on a lot of ways to bridge that gap. We've done some interesting work in partnership with Bonk, for example. Several other projects we're going to be working with as well to help them structure options for their investors and their team. And it sort of has a circular connection to how liquidity is generated in general. I can get really into the weeds on that, but just high level thought is basically AMMs. Any LP position is generally what's known as short gamma, and actually by providing options, you're actually taking the other side of that trade. So it actually is a natural way to provide liquidity into tokens, and that's kind of what our focus is and one of the core kind of thesis for the project.
Awesome. Let's talk a little bit about the products that are live at the moment. Tell us a little bit about those.
Sure. There's two main forks. There's sort of the dual investment pools, otherwise known as DIPs, which are focused on an improvement to decentralized option vaults, sort of a version 2 to decentralized option vaults, if you will. It allows users to come in and immediately stake and earn the premium from selling that structured product, as opposed to decentralized option vault where you're waiting till the expiration and there's a specific auction period and all sorts of others. There's a lot of good UX elements of just you can actually time the market. If the market rallied, you could stake and get a higher yield out of it, unlike decentralized option wallets. The other one is more targeted towards projects and DAOs and communities. This is staking options. For example, our product that we did with Bonk is one in which if you have the token, you can lock it up for a fixed amount of time. And for doing that, you earn a reward in the form of options on Bonk. So it allows you to buy more Bonk up until some date in the future at a fixed price, right? So, the idea there is if the price, goes to the moon, you have some upside exposure to that, and you can exercise and purchase the token more cheaply and make a profit, or just hold the token. And one of the good use cases as well with, for example, what we're doing with Mango is one in which we're structuring their buyback of their own token using options. So this is one where they're actually issuing puts or downside options, if you will. And that actually on the back of that, we're providing markets into OpenBook. So a lot of layers to it, but basically there's two main forks. There's sort of the user-focused product around gaining sustainable yield, and then a project-focused product, which is also around sustainable yield out of a treasury. So
awesome. And how do these tokens? You mentioned Mango and Bonk, and I assume there are more tokens that people can purchase options and take a position in the market. How do these projects qualify? How do you add those projects? How do you select them in order to offer financial products?
Sure. For the dual investment pools, the DIPs, that's targeted right now just the highest liquidity type assets, the stuff that might have the most interest in just normal people effectively trading, right? So Solana is supported right now. Bitcoin and Ethereum will be supported once we see a little bit more liquidity on sort of the bridged versions of those assets. We're working on getting Mango and Bonk in there as well on the user side. For projects, that's really one of the key things here is we're open to any projects, no matter what the actual liquidity is on the staking option side, because we're hoping to work with projects in order to structure incentives that then support the underlying liquidity of the token. So it's actually really useful for projects with no market. If you look at Mango right now, there's really no market besides our market that we're providing on OpenBook. And you can see our bids and offers in there at all times of the day, and it's very transparently done in that sense. So yeah, I encourage projects with any amount of liquidity to come and talk, or in any stage as well. It's probably almost better to talk with projects before they've launched the token to try to navigate some pitfalls they might run into.
Awesome. And do you offer some kind of incentive to in order to attract liquidity in the pools? Do you have some ongoing campaign
Yep.
or future plans on bringing people on the platform? At the same time, these products are pretty complicated financial products. It's not your average liquidity farming. It's not your average degen trading. It requires quite a lot of understanding. And are you going to help users get on board with these concepts, or you're targeting experienced traders that actually know what they're doing?
Yeah, so on the future plans, yes, definitely planning on incentivizing not only the users who might be staking into the dual investment pools. We have now, partner programs sort of announced with other projects. So if you're an early user of staking options, we're providing dual options to those projects, sort of to align our collective incentives. In terms of the user education side, we're bridging a few different audiences, right? There's the users, there's the projects, and their communities. So to that extent, what we're building out to the end is going to be a system where, as a user, you might not even have to know that you're earning an option, but that is the reward that's being sent to you. And then you could basically set some sort of setting where you're auto liquidating those rewards and just earning USDC or maybe into the project token. But the core reward that you're using and earning is an option. But because there's underlying liquidity for that, you don't even have to know much about options. We, of course, would hope people and encourage them to learn about them, but trying to make it extendable to everybody. You don't have to be an expert to use it effectively.
And should the users be informed about extra risks using these specific platform, or at least financial product? Do they need to know something more, or the other than the classic contract risks, or whatever, like phishing risks, or whatever is very normal risk in the crypto world?
Yeah, certainly. I think we want to be ultra transparent about this stuff, and oftentimes other people aren't. You're trading structured products, in this case, especially with the dips, that is you taking risk, right? There's lots of disclaimers built into the UI. We're always looking for better UX, so let us know, share thoughts if you have any suggestions on how to make these things clearer. The issue with some of the pools is like people just ape in without reading anything, and then they come back and, for example, with Bonk, they're wondering, oh, I actually had to exercise my options to do anything or earn any reward, like these kinds of things. You can't solve the problem for everyone, but we're trying our best. We recently added a feature on allowing users to just set calendar reminders. So like when you stake, you can then get prompted to add it to your calendar, so you actually remember to return and withdraw the funds or exercise, these kinds of things. So those are some of the ways to do it. Yeah, there's, but then on the
yeah, there's a limit on what you can do, and how much you can inform and educate users.
Exactly.
Yeah, at some point the responsibility falls on the other party. It's hand holding goes up to a point.
Yeah, precisely.
Regarding your target users, is the plan to actually go for the already existing users, or you have any plans on bringing Web 2 traditional finance guys into the game and enlarging the pie?
Yeah, you kind of want to attack all surfaces, but I think the best user acquisition strategies for us is going to be providing good quality work to other established ecosystems of users and projects, and help them understand how options can help benefit their community by aligning incentives and kind of avoiding this inflationary death spiral we have with a lot of tokenomics. So that's really the core focus. We don't want to spread ourselves too thin, but like there's definitely sort of areas of partnership on more traditional, side. Like I have a good network already on that front, so we'll hopefully be able to tap some of that stuff.
Awesome. What about audits and all the processes and procedures that projects have to go through, especially the ones on the DeFi space? Are you going for some reputable auditing company, or have you already audited your code?
Yeah, it's definitely worth throwing the disclaimer in there. We don't have an official audit yet. Instead, we've had Mango contributors review the staking option code, which the DAO uses for its buyback. So they're the ones exposed to it. Our partners at GSR are the main liquidity provider into the dual investment pool product, so they are the ones reviewing that code. Once we have some funding, we'll aim to get a top tier audit as well. But yeah, that's in the works still.
And what about regulation? Are you forced in order to geo block users? Are you forced to go through these hurdles?
Yes, we have the geo blocking, and we have users affirm they're not located in certain jurisdictions. We hope that regulators get their act together and can provide clearer guidance on what's allowable. But until that's
hopefully this is going to allow so many more traditional finance users and actually developers and firms to onboard and get into the Web3 game.
Yeah, I think just in the interim though, there's a lot of opportunity to just be more transparent from a project's perspective, and that will by itself, sort of let the cream rise to the top or what have you, and the more transparent you are, then the easier it is to sniff out the grifters and the scammers in the space, right? And I think we just need to breed more of a culture around that. For example, every few weeks we're posting progress reports. It's like very in-depth reports of what we've been working on and building. We've been heads down building for a long time, but it's important to try to encourage people to understand what's happening behind the scenes and encourage open contributions from people. So whether that works to onboard more users or not, I think it's definitely an important piece. We should be trying to all act more ethically in this space.
Two last security questions before we jump on the topic of dual and the coin and the funding and economics. How I assume that all the vaults, each vault is a big honeypot of money. How are these vaults secured? Are you using some kind of multisig? Is it what's your approach?
Yeah, so right now the program authority is owned by the DAO. We are up on Realms, so the program authorities are there. You can see the DAO council is the three members on our core team plus one at GSR and one and Max from Mango. So it's a close small council, but it sufficiently secures the contracts from any one person being a bad actor. We'd be looking to obviously extend that to like once the token's live. There's already voting rights from the token, but it doesn't have any distribution. It's just sitting in the DAO right now. So
I see. Let's talk a little bit about the coin. Who is the target user? What is the utility? Tell us a little bit about it. How do you perceive the coin to be in the future?
Yeah, so the dual token is really our experimentation with our own products to better incentivize communities and use our own as that testing ground for things that might not be able to happen elsewhere. The token
and governance, from what I understood, since you are already
yes,
on Realms.
Yeah, it already has governance attributes. It's just like I said, it's not distributed anywhere. It's the 1 billion token supply. It's sitting all in the DAO, and the key piece is that the only way the token will ever be released outside the DAO is via an options exercise. So what that means is the DAO will put aside collateral that will support the options that are minted against it, and then users, based on their own fruition, can go in and as they earn options from interacting with dual investment pools or staking options or however else, they can exercise these options. That will fund the DAO, and that will remove supply out of the DAO into the community's hands, and then from there it's sort of open for whatever will take place, right? Whether that's creating markets and voting on governance, etc. So
are these awesome realms instructions you're describing already live, or you're building them? Like, can I actually vote on through a proposal and add an instruction to interact with dual finance vaults?
So that will come once the token is distributed. Right now, the initial distribution will be handled by the DAO. It will be several different components. It will all go to the community. It's worth pointing out. I guess we'll touch on this probably in a moment, but like
all
completely
of it going
self-funded.
in the community. Very interesting. I'm gonna jump into it immediately. So it's not going to be used for fundraising.
This is the beautiful thing, and why we think options have a place in tokenomics is like, as users exercise the options, it naturally funds the DAO, right? You actually have to pay a strike price. These are physically settled options, so it's users paying USDC at a fixed price for this ability to buy the token. And because of that, you have a lot more levers and parameters to play with. You can do things around expirations and strikes, strikes that represent different valuations, etc. So we're planning on some pretty interesting programs to come. I'm not going to try to.
So yeah, it really
yeah.
stands out, the dual tokenomics. I'm impressed. This is a brand new way of distribution.
100%. Yeah, we're in a unique position to do a fair launch because we're completely self-funded. We won the Solana hackathon, but that's really just covered some external expenses, and we don't have any VCs, and that's sort of.
And you're planning on staying without any VCs despite being so close to GSR.
Yeah, because I understand how these organizations operate. I've seen it. It can be done better, and it can be done better from a decentralized community perspective. That's what we're targeting.
Awesome. I love it. What about utility on the platform? Holders of Dual, do they get anything extra? Is there any profit sharing kind of, if the platform does better, if the whole DApp is successful? Is there something?
We're gonna leave that up to governance afterwards. We think one of the unique ways in which value can be brought back to the token would be through something similar that we're doing with Mango. It was like issuing put options, right? So that's then collateralized in USDC that the protocol is earned from fees or from the fundraise, whatever else. And that can be effectively, you can think of it as putting a floor price on the token, right? Because if users can sell at a fixed price, then there's no reason to sell below that.
Pretty good. I'm impressed. I'm for sure gonna keep an eye on it. When are you planning to release more information, dates of all these things happening? Kind of, approximately.
Yeah, I think I can say a few things. Expect a couple announcements in the next couple of weeks. Definitely keep an eye on those because it's going to be kind of an open playground for people to do stuff.
Shall we say around maybe March 2023?
Well, I was going to just say exactly that. The target launch right now in our heads is set aggressively at March 1st. We'll see if we can deliver on that. And the launch, by what I mean by launch, right? There's already products live on mainnet. There's already like fees accruing to the DAO. It's not, the launch is actually just the minting of the options that then are handed out to our partners and the community, right? That's the launch. It's just like, okay, now people have the ability to exercise these options. That's what we're calling the launch.
Your tokenomics and your general idea of distribution is so different from what your average Solana project does with the low float, a high percentage to private investors. Do you think that this has been one of the negative, one of the disadvantages in the Solana space, the structure of tokenomics so far?
That's definitely a motivation behind what we're working on. I can't stress that enough. Like, no one has tried what we're attempting. The interesting thing here is the only tokens ever will be from option exercise, right? So there's no set schedule for the token release. There's no vesting schedule, right? There's no like weight on the supply of the token. You can't predict the supply of the token at any point in the future, right? It's entirely price dependent, and price dependent because it's based on strikes, right? And we think that like that also should match to the goals and the roadmap of the project being met, right? As things are being accomplished, right? More partnerships being brought in, more projects working with us. That will sort of create this economy and usefulness behind the token that means it has more value, and that's basically what will fund itself and sort of perpetuate it on an ongoing basis.
Let's talk a little bit about your experience with Dean's List and this service DAO. Has it been helpful? Has it brought value?
Yeah, definitely. Didn't really know what to expect at the start. It was definitely a thorough rundown of UI and UX issues, which we've made a key point of tackling. I think we've gotten through the majority of them so far. Yeah, it was an overall positive experience. Didn't know what to expect to going in. So,
awesome,
thank you guys.
Awesome. What about the general hackathon experience? Since you actually won, was it you won the Riptide, the Solana Riptide hackathon?
No, it was the summer hackathon.
Summer hackathon. I'm sorry for that.
Yeah. Yeah, it was good experience. So, from my perspective, right, I've been a trader my entire career. Not really a developer, but the docs and everything and all the support that's out there, I feel like I'm actually a pretty competent developer in the last 6 months. So like that's speaking a lot to the resources out there to support people.
Awesome. What about future hacker houses, hackathons? Are you gonna be present in any of them? Can we meet you anywhere around the world?
Yeah, it's definitely something we need to be a little bit better on. We were at Breakpoint, but there's nothing on the schedule right now. I kind of just like building a piece for the moment. We're always open to chat, and assuming we can really grow this the way we want, we're obviously going to be bringing in some more folks, some more business development people in particular, kind of do the circuits and get the message out there more.
Lastly, give me some shout outs, some awesome teams that you're working with, some cool developers, some maybe partners, whoever you are vibing well in the Solana ecosystem.
It would take a while to shout out everybody, but I guess just generally the people still here in the Solana ecosystem building real products, right? The FTX fallout.
The 75 developers.
Yeah, the 75 developers. The FTX fallout has been like such a defining moment for our space and specifically like the Solana ecosystem to become more resilient in its wake. And so it's like a huge testament to anybody that's still here that, they really care about it. We're making a more anti-fragile, blockchain, and that's how long-lasting impacts are made in the space. I guess like specifically our partners right now that we're working with, I kind of already mentioned them, right? We're composed on OpenBook and contributing there, working a lot with the Realms folk, Mango, Bonk, GSR, even like other NFT teams, Motley Labs, Night Market. So those are some of the groups we've been speaking with. But I encourage anybody out there. I'm sure I missed a bunch, by the way. I'm sorry for those folks. But yeah, definitely get in touch, because what we did with Bonk was just somebody coming into the general chat and saying, hey, you guys should do an integration. And so hop on the Discord and reach out.
Don Dwala from Dual Finance, thank you so much. Thank you so much for taking the time to talk to me, and I really hope the project is successful and you continue shipping and building like you've been doing so far. Thank you so much.
Yeah. Thank you. It's been my pleasure. Everybody stay tuned. A lot of fun stuff coming up, so follow along. Thanks.